Welcome to Ignite Your Confidence for women in leadership who want to speak up and stand out. I'm your host, Karen Laus. Here you'll get all of the tips and tools that you need to stand out with unshakable confidence. Let's dive into today's episode. Well, Michelle, I'm so happy to have you here. And to everyone else that's here, welcome. I'm going to jump right in and have you introduce yourself to the guests.
Well, I am Michelle Newman. I am a mother of two wonderful daughters. They are 10 and 13 years old. And yes, I am a midlife woman who has a 13 and 10-year-old. So if you do the math, I was 40 and 42 when I had my kids, which is absolutely who we are. We are the Newmid, which is my business. I am a coach and I coach midlife women to realize how amazing they are, to peel the layers away from all of this stuff that we've put in front of us and get to their core and live an abundant second half. And I actually did an Ironman when I
Oh
was single.
my
And a
God.
month before my Ironman, I tore my posterior cruciate ligament 30 days
Oh,
before. And somehow my PT put me back together like Humpty Dumpty. And I went to New Zealand and I finished my Ironman in 15 hours and 30 minutes.
oh my gosh.
So, how was
Wow.
that PPU, Karen? Did I
Yes,
pass the test?
I'd say you passed the test. You did a great job. And Michelle, do you want to tell people what PPU means?
Well, you need to say something personal, something professional, and something unique.
Yes, that's so great. Such a great job. And most people listening probably know it, but not everybody. And so it's great because I know, Michelle, you and I have known each other now, which feels like a lifetime. I think we immediately connected. I think it was Clubhouse, right?
It
That's
was, yeah. It's so funny, Karen, because we met in Clubhouse. We were in mutual rooms together, mutual admired other. And I cannot believe that I've never met you in person. It just seems so strange because I feel
I
like I really do know you. I've been on this journey with you and your husband together and,
yes.
cheering you on. You've come and talked to my academy, you've been on my podcast. And so it's just amazing how we have learned to communicate through Zoom and, different channels, different socials. And we have this bond, this friendship.
I know. It really is. It's wonderful. Let's talk about the PPU and what that actually means. So, that's a method for introducing yourself, which I love, Michelle, that you have remembered and actually used, which always makes me happy. But more importantly, it makes us more effective. And it's a method to introduce yourself by saying something personal, professional, and unique in an introduction. It follows the rule of three from journalism because most of us remember things in threes. And it's also a wonderful structure so that you keep focused when you're introducing yourself and you're never stuck with, what do I say when somebody asks you to introduce yourself?
Well, it takes the ums out, right? It
Yes.
takes and a lot of times when you'll be talking to somebody or just meeting them and you're trying to figure out what to say, you'll also break eye contact. A lot of times when I'm thinking, I'll look up to the sky, that the answers are going to fall from the ceiling for me.
Yes.
But having that simple formula really is magic. It really does work. It helps you for mumbling. It takes the ums out. You can continue to have really great eye contact. So I love the formula, Karen. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, I want to poke a little, I want to poke a little jab here for fun because I would love to have you tell us a little bit more about what the new mid or midlife means to you.
Well,
Because
oh,
you,
I'm sorry, Karen.
nope,
I
nope,
didn't mean to
you go for it.
step on you.
Go for it.
Well, it's funny because if I can tell you the story of how it started. I
Yes.
was my oldest daughter at the time, she was 9 and she was playing the flute in a spring concert and we were outside, listening to her and at the time, I don't know about you, but I didn't like to say my age. And I worked at CBS for a very long time. I was a vice president of programming and marketing over at CBS, and we coveted the 18 to 49 demo. So when I turned 49, I was so depressed because I was like, no, I don't want to. I'm about to become invisible. Like, I'm 49 is the last age of the demo.
Oh
So,
no.
right? So
Yeah.
I didn't want a 50th birthday.
Um,
So then I was at the spring concert listening to my daughter play, and one of the 30 somethings moms was sitting next to me, listening to her daughter, and looked over at me, and I was having a hot flash. I was turning bright red, right? Oh my gosh. And she's like, wow, you're getting really emotional. And her, and I'm thinking to myself, don't worry, you'll get emotional too in a few years. But what kind of clicked was that she didn't see me as a 57-year-old. She didn't see me as a midlife woman. She just saw me as a fellow mom. And
mm,
I started to think like, wow, what kind mindset is that? What mindset do I have? I mean, I had a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old at 50, or a 10-year-old at that time.
yeah.
So what is that saying to my mindset? And I thought, gosh, I'm still climbing. I'm not over the hill. Like, I'm young, I'm vibrant. I want to do more. And I want to help women that feel like me. So that's where the new mid, it's the new midlife came from.
Wow.
And I started with the podcast, having wonderful guests, because I truly believe that in midlife, we have to put ourselves first
Mhm.
without guilt. We have to. If we are going to remain vibrant and strong and make a difference in this world, because I believe everybody was put on this world for a purpose, we have to put ourselves first without guilt in midlife. And what does that look like? It looks like you've got to take care of your health. I mean, now more than ever, because all of the stuff we've been doing up till now, imagine you have like an empty bucket, and up until now, we've been putting maybe junk food, a little bit of alcohol, sleeping, not sleeping well, all of that. That all fills up. And by midlife, it's overflowing.
Mm,
So now is the
wow.
time to check in. Now is the time. What are your dreams? What do you want out of life? And so that's where the new mid evolved from, going from not only the podcast to now having an academy and being a coach. And it's just amazing. It's so wonderful. Like you're an amazing confidence booster coach. And Karen, the lives you've changed has been amazing. And I feel
Thank
honored to
you.
be in your company.
Thank you. I love hearing that story, and that's so hilarious. You said it was a hot flash. Oh, you're so emotional.
Right? I mean, it was like, I'm sweating, I mean, I feel like an oven is going on inside my body. And she's like, wow, you're really emotional. But it was somehow you just have those aha moments, right? It was
Yeah.
just an aha moment.
Yeah.
And like, wow, she doesn't see me as, midlife. She sees me just as a fellow 30 something or maybe 40 something mom. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this
That's
needs a
so
mindset
cool.
shift.
Yes. Well, it's so fascinating. And why I was saying, I want to have a little fun with you or a little jab is that for me, I didn't even know I was in midlife until I got to Clubhouse. I don't see age for myself. I mean, it's so funny because I thought, why are all these people talking? What is midlife anyway? I don't even, who decides that I'm in midlife? Nobody. So I have a little,
Right?
like, it triggers me a little bit. But I also understand it. I mean, that I think that as human beings, even what I teach around communication, generally speaking, we need some type of category. We need an idea of, okay, there's something, we're not talking about people that are, 10 years old. We're also not talking about 30-year-olds. And so having a little more focus, certainly from a marketing perspective, is fantastic. And
Right.
I think, for me, I never had kids. So I feel like, wow, I'm just starting out, like the last couple of years, leaving my corporate job going, this is amazing. And have become to really be in the last year, really started to see and recognize how many people are feeling like like now what do they do with their lives after having kids, and they're my age, but they've got like, where there is a more defined, okay, this is one phase of my life, now moving to the next thing. So I love that you described it, and I love your vision for it, because I also share the vision of we should be able to be vibrant at any age, no matter what.
Right, right. Can you hold on one second? Hold
Yes,
on one second.
of course. Yep. I'm going to pause this.
Okay.
That's okay. No problem. Well, let's shift for a little bit. And since you have got this group of people, you're a leader. My hunch is you've always been a leader. And I know a lot of people admire you and probably look at you to think, gosh, does she ever have any doubts? Has she ever gone through anything? And I know you're also very open and vulnerable, which completely connects people to you. So what I'd love to ask is if you could share a time in your life where you weren't so confident and what that was like for you. And if there is a particular moment or an example you have, that would be great.
Well, it's funny because we're recording this a little after the Oscars.
Oh,
And, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock on stage. And luckily, he apologized. But one of the last sentences he used was, I am a work in progress. And I feel like that's all of us. I feel like we all are a work in progress, and
mhm.
we're all at different phases of our life. And so I think it's important to bring that out. And we are, I believe, constantly growing, constantly creating ourselves. And we can learn from different experiences in our lives. And I don't see anything ever as a failure. I see it as a learning opportunity. So, okay, this happened to me. Now, what am I going to learn from that? How am I going to grow from that? One of the biggest things that happened to me actually was I had a brain hemorrhage. And I am blessed that I am the 2% that survives the brain hemorrhage that I had. And it's
Wow.
interesting because it's what Bob Saget died from. And when I heard that and I read that, it really rocked me. And the strange thing was, is it was close to the anniversary of when it happened to me. So
Oh my.
that was great, believe it or not, because it like reset me. I started fresh and with fresh eyes. I mean, when I went and saw my barista at Starbucks, I was so happy to see her. It was like and the stuff that was going on at work, it was all small stuff. Now, I have to tell you, that was a while ago. So I've kind of grown out of that small stuff, but it still sticks, it still remains. And I have the chance and the opportunity, literally a second chance at life. Wow, how great is that? How many people have that? But to always know that we all have that. We every single day we have a fresh start.
Right.
So to hold on to that and to know that. And it really does every February 10th. It's like a second birthday. It's like another birthday for me. And it reminds me, it centers me again, saying, wow, I'm on borrowed time. This is my second chance. What am I doing with it? And not some days are better than others. There are days when it's like, oh my goodness, really? And then there's days like, wow, I got so much done. I was so intentional. But I think the thing that's really important, Karen, is to be authentic and to be real and to know that we are all works in progress. And so it's okay to make mistakes, but what's important is, how do you react afterwards? What do you do
Wow.
afterwards?
Yeah. Yeah. Say more about that. About what do you do afterwards?
Own it. If
Mm.
you make a mistake, own it. Don't back away from it, because the more you back away from it, the more you try to make excuses for it, the worse you feel and the worse it gets.
Yeah.
And then say to yourself, what can I learn from this? And try not to sit in it too long.
Mhm.
Sometimes you might have to sit in it for a little bit and really, take time to be quiet and look at it, but then get up, dust yourself off. If you have to apologize, apologize, but make sure you've learned from it so that you don't do it again. Because I can tell you that is one thing, is it will come back. It will come back. It'll happen again until you be honest with yourself. Take a look at what that is, make amends with yourself, whoever else you might have to, and then move on and make sure that when you see those signs coming again, you don't do that. Again, it's mindset, which I know you talk about, right?
Yes, yes. It's so fascinating. I mean, I don't want to get too off track, but that thing with Will Smith, I was thinking about that this morning. Imagine if he had one before he, or as part of his acceptance speech, if he had led with, Chris, I am so sorry, and I'm sorry to all of you here at the Academy before I can, accept this award. And it's better than nothing that he did it, and yet it's also that timing piece. It made me think about
Yes.
that. And I think about that related to even just things like when you want to, if somebody has wronged you, for example, giving them an opportunity, like being able to share that with them. And as a matter of fact, there was somebody in my life recently who had well, I wouldn't call it a falling out. She was upset about something someone else did. And when I listened to the story, I thought, wow, there's so many assumptions being made here. And the other party asked her if everything was okay, and she said, we don't have time to talk about it right now, and almost made it bigger than it needed to be. And I thought, wow, you didn't have 5 minutes. I knew she had 5 minutes, but I think in her mind, she was making it this big ordeal where she was going to need to sit down and talk to the person, as opposed to just having a quick conversation. Hey, this is how that came across to me. Is that what you meant? And how, now she's going to have to wait a couple of weeks because the other person has family in town anyway, all other things. But I love the idea of what you just said with such also vocal conviction, I might add, which is own it. We have to own it because you're
Thank you.
right. Yes.
Well, you know what? I'd love to take it one step further. And
Yeah.
I thought to myself, could you imagine if Will Smith had gotten up there and asked Chris Rock to come out, apologize to him, put out his hand to shake his hand?
Oh,
Can you imagine visually what an impact that would be for men around the world? To be humbled, to humble yourself, to acknowledge your mistake. Wow.
yeah.
That would have been the headline the next day.
Yeah, exactly. That just gave me goosebumps when you said that.
A missed opportunity, but you know
Yeah.
what? We're all a work in progress.
Yes, we are. Well, and that really speaks to character to me about, and how do you want to be in the world? How do you want to show up? What do you want people to think about you? How do you want them to talk about you? And I think that's such an important thing that a lot of times we don't really think about that too often. And in thinking about your, just shifting for a minute to your confidence journey, Michelle, can you tell us about a time, now thinking about the side of, wow, I remember when I felt really in my zone of genius, absolutely at the top of my game. Can you give us a moment where you felt that super confidence?
It's interesting. When I was at CBS, I helped launch my boss at the time and I, when she promoted me to be vice president of programming, we had to replace two soap operas. You're never going to believe this, but we, the CBS canceled Guiding Light on April 1st.
Oh my gosh, really?
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Like, why didn't they do it on March 31st or April 2nd? I really could not believe that. But when they canceled Guiding Light, she needed to have somebody come on and help develop a new daytime show. And then the following year, it was As the World Turns, and we had to develop another one. Now, mind you, we only had 8 months to find a show and get it up on its feet and on the air. If you talk to anybody in the daytime world that does talk shows and game shows and court shows, it takes years to get one up and running, to get the right formula, the right hosts, everything. And then 95% of them fail.
Oh
We
my
hit a
gosh.
home run twice, and they're
Oh,
still on the air with Let's Make a Deal and Wayne Brady, and also The Talk. Now, The Talk has completely changed all of the cast or the hosts that were there when we first started. But that was an incredible time. And it was fun for The Talk. I got to meet some amazing women. And it's so interesting because I got to meet Samuel L. Jackson's wife, and she is
oh,
phenomenal. And she's on the cover of People with him. And I was like, oh my gosh. But that was an incredible time because I had to step up, and I didn't feel as confident as I could have been. I mean, I was new in my position. I was meeting some amazing actors and actresses and getting this going. But wow, we had to be in our flow. We just had to be in the groove and not, I guess when you're, and this happens, right? When you're really busy, you can't think about the negative. You don't have time for that. You just got to get what's done. What's the
yeah.
next thing done? What's the next thing? And I think that's a big key, Karen, to
Mhm.
confidence is action. Because
Mm,
if you sit back too much, if you think about it too much, that's when the noise starts. Action.
yeah.
What's the next thing you have to do? What's the next thing you have to do? And that builds confidence. And so I think doing those two shows and having, input and really, getting like the actors and getting the executive producers and all of that together, it was really fun. That was a great time.
Oh, that is so exciting. So now my fangirl thing goes off, of course. Who was your favorite actor or actress to meet?
Betty White,
Oh
hands down.
my gosh.
Hands down. We did a pilot for the $25,000 pyramid. We did a remake of it, a pilot. It didn't get on the air, the version we did. And we had Betty White come as a celebrity guest. She was 88 at the time. And oh my goodness, she was rocking it. But the thing that blew me away, like everybody loves Betty White. She's funny, she is nice, but she is humble. She showed up in her, they had town cars, obviously, to get the celebrities and bring them to the set. She got out of her town car by herself with her makeup box. You know how those 1950s makeup
Yes,
boxes?
yes.
Well, she traveled with it. She had her own makeup. So, and she didn't have an entourage. She didn't have a huge laundry list of requests, because when you have these actors come, they will have like, I want Avion water and I need white roses. And I mean, they'll have a list of things that they want, demands, and it depends. You can tell the demands on how high, the actor is.
Yeah.
But she was humble. She was talk to everyone, and darn it, gosh darn it, my cell phone didn't have a camera on it at that time. I'm aging myself,
Oh,
so I didn't get a picture with her. But
oh,
yeah, hands down, she was the most amazing actress,
wow.
human being.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, on that note, just thinking about mentors in your life, who do you know that, not necessarily star or anything, just thinking about who has made the biggest impression in your life, contributing to your growth?
Oh gosh, hands down, my dad.
Oh,
Ugh,
really?
I can't talk about it too much because he has dementia, and it's
Oh,
tricky, but he's fearless
yeah.
and he likes change. Who in their right mind is that likes change? But my father, he was the first person to have a Mac in our house.
Really?
Yeah. He was like, he bought this huge Mac and he's like, look at all the stuff it does. He learned it. He had no problem. He has no problem with change. Now,
Oh,
unfortunately, he's not doing as great. But
oh,
like
sorry.
my Nana was unfortunately killed by a drunk driver in the middle of the afternoon. And so he was hurting and he was like, what can I do? What can I do? And so he was a battalion chief at the Los Angeles City Fire Department. And that's a pretty big company. I mean, I say company, but it's huge. It's a massive for Los Angeles. And
Wow.
he went to the higher ups and he said, I want to teach high school kids how to do CPR so that they can save lives. I want to start
Wow.
what's called a heart program. And I went to the Red Cross and I have all these mannequins that they've given to me. And I have these people that are going to help me. And I've called these high schools and they want me to come and they want me to do it. And while I do that, I'm going to promote the fire department. And do you know that he did that for a year? He dedicated it to my Nana. He did it in her for
Oh,
her. They had this wall, this heart wall, and every time a high school student saved a life using CPR, they put their name up on this heart wall.
oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So whenever I worry, like, oh, can I do this? I just think of my dad.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's like, yeah, I can. I
Wow.
absolutely can. So, yeah, he's pretty amazing. But I have to say, Karen, like yourself, there's been other women I've met in Clubhouse or through my journey. And I have to say, I've gotten inspiration from each one of you.
Mm.
You've inspired me. I
Oh,
have this woman, Joyce Schulman from 99 Walks. I would suggest everyone to look her up. She's taken me under her wing and shown me how to run a business and how to believe in yourself and how to keep going and then how to ask yourself the tough questions and to have tough answers. So I feel
oh.
like there's mentors everywhere. You just have to ask.
Mm-hmm. Boy, that is that's profound what you just said there. You all you have to do is ask. And you have to ask because most people aren't going to just go, "Oh, I bet you she needs this." We have to identify and ask for what we need. That's such a good reminder of that. I want to ask you one more specific, well, two more questions. And I feel like I could just talk to you forever. And I've also been inspired by you. I want you to know that too. I'm so grateful that we met. I'd love to have you go back in time, or maybe it's more recent, but when has there been a time where you didn't speak up, but wished that you had?
Ooh, that's interesting. It's really tricky when you have kids and they're involved and you don't think either the teachers or the coaches are doing the right thing. And it is really hard to bite your tongue. Can I tell you?
I bet.
It's also hard to bite your tongue when your kids are messing up and allowing them to mess up. And I think that's really important, at least from a mom standpoint.
Yeah.
I think from a work standpoint, there was maybe a person that was hired that I had reservations about, and I didn't speak up, and that person was hired, and then my reservations came true. I
Uh,
have a pretty good gut, and
yeah.
that probably was a lot more pain than needed to happen. Um, so I don't know if those are good what you're looking for.
Yeah, no, it's whatever you want to share. And that's really interesting what you said about the person you didn't speak up about hiring. And I've had one of those as well. And then it's the things happen later. And I thought, oh, why didn't I say anything? And that's my whole, yeah. Anyway, that's a whole other.
Sometimes you don't want to rock the boat,
I
right? You're
know
like, you
exactly.
know,
And it's a
yeah.
good reminder to both of us and everyone listening to that there are times when rocking the boat is actually the exact right thing to do. Well, one thing I love to end with is to ask you, is there anything that I haven't asked that you would like me to ask or that you'd like to share?
Well, I think that for me, being in midlife woman, I just want midlife women to, I love what you're doing, boosting their confidence. And I want you to live intentionally, to really like wholeheartedly dig into to your life, and whatever you maybe have been ignoring or pushing down, it is time to open that Pandora's box, let all of that stuff out so that you can enjoy what life has for you now. Because I can tell you, we've got some war wounds, and that's okay. But if you're not going to address them, they're only going to get bigger. And so address that, because everyone deserves to have fun, to live a purposeful life, and to enjoy every day. So I hope that's helpful, but laughing is good. And I do think that anyone who is listening to this wants to grow, wants to create the life they love. That's why you're listening to this. So keep going. Take those courses, take that vacation, read those books. But a lot of it though, and you'll know this too, Karen, it's not just listening, it's not just reading, but it's actually doing. It's
Yes.
going from the knowing to the doing gap. And that's important. So action, action, action. And to really change, you've got to go deep into your core, find out subconsciously what keeps sabotaging you, pull out those weeds, and then repetitively do the actions that you want.
I love it. That's so great. Well, Michelle, where can we reach you? And what do you have something coming up? Tell us what you have coming up.
I do. Thank you. Well, I believe this is going to hit right in the middle of a free workshop that I'm giving, and I would love for you to come over and join. If any of the things that I'm talking about resonate with you, please hop on over to the Newmid Facebook group. I am giving a free workshop all about designing a life that you love, helping you going from the knowing to the doing gap, secrets of success, getting results that you really will stick in your health, in your wealth, and in your relationships. So please hop on over to the Newmid Facebook group. You can reach out to me. I'm Michelle at thenewmid.com. That's my email. I have my website, thenewmid.com, all of that. I would love for you to just reach out and contact me. And thank you so much, Karen, for having me on, for letting me talk to your community. I am honored, and I'm so happy about our friendship, and I know we'll be collaborating more in the future as well.
Yes, so great to have you too, Michelle. And that's a wrap of another episode of Ignite Your Confidence. I'm your host, Karen Laus. Thank you so much for listening. If you loved today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps other people find the podcast faster, and it certainly helps me. If you're interested in more tips and tools around confidence, please join me over in my Facebook group called Ignite Your Confidence with Karen Laus. Remember, you too can stand out with unshakable confidence.